Imagine a small seed falling into the cracks of a dry and weathered stone. It does not demand the mountain to move or the sun to cool its heat. It simply exists with a quiet persistence, waiting for a single drop of rain to remember its presence. This is much like the way kindness operates in a world that often feels heavy with the weight of unspoken burdens. Everyone carries a story that they rarely tell, a quiet ache that resides behind a smile or a fatigue that settles in the eyes after a long day of trying to be strong. When you look around at the faces in a crowded street or the people sitting across from you, there is a shared human experience of seeking comfort. Sometimes the world feels like a vast ocean of noise where individual voices get lost, yet a simple act of genuine warmth can act as a lighthouse. It does not take a grand gesture to change the atmosphere of a room or the direction of someone's day. It only takes a moment of seeing another person truly, acknowledging their existence with a softness that requires no reward. Think about the times when you felt completely overwhelmed, as if the walls were closing in and every path was blocked by a shadow. In those moments, was it a long lecture or a complicated philosophical debate that saved you? Usually, it was something much smaller. Perhaps it was the way a friend sat in silence with you, or how a stranger held the door with a sincere nod of understanding. These tiny fragments of light weave together to create a safety net for the soul. There is a profound magic in the way a gentle word can act as a balm on a wound that no medicine can reach. We often underestimate our own power to heal because we think healing must be a complex process involving years of study or immense resources. Yet the ancient wisdom reminds us that the greatest medicine is often found in the simplest of interactions. When hearts are heavy, they do not need the pressure of being told how to fix themselves. They need the space to breathe and the reassurance that they are not walking through the darkness alone. This journey of understanding kindness begins with the realization that we are all interconnected by our vulnerabilities. When you offer a hand to someone who has stumbled, you are not just helping them up, you are also reaffirming your own humanity. It is a beautiful cycle where the giver and the receiver become one in the shared warmth of the moment. This connection is what keeps the world from turning cold. It is the invisible thread that binds us together, proving that even in the midst of great suffering, there is a persistent and quiet beauty waiting to be uncovered. Consider the way a single candle can light 1,000 others without losing its own flame. Your kindness is that flame. It does not diminish you to be soft in a world that can be hard. In fact, it is the ultimate form of strength to remain open and compassionate when everything around you suggests that you should close off your heart. This openness is a gift you give to yourself as much as to others. It allows life to flow through you rather than getting stuck in the barriers of resentment or indifference. As we walk this path together, let us look closer at the subtle ways we can be a source of peace for those who are struggling. It does not require a title or a position of authority to be a healer of spirits. It only requires a heart that is willing to listen and a pair of eyes that look for the light in everyone. When you choose to speak with grace, you are planting flowers in a garden that others might have abandoned. These flowers may not bloom instantly, but the fragrance of your intention lingers in the air long after you have moved on. In the chronicles of ancient times, there is a story of a young monk who was traveling through a village known for its harsh conditions and weary people. The land was parched and the spirits of the inhabitants were equally dry. He had very little to offer in terms of material wealth, yet he carried a sense of tranquility that was almost tangible. One evening, he came across a woman sitting by a dusty well, her face etched with the lines of many years of hardship. She was staring into the empty vessel at her feet, her shoulders slumped in a posture of complete defeat. Instead of offering her a sermon on the nature of suffering or telling her that her pain was an illusion, the monk simply sat down on the earth near her. He did not speak at once. He waited until the silence felt like a comfortable blanket between them. Then, he reached into his bag and pulled out a small, polished stone he had found by a clear stream days before. He placed it in her hand and said that this stone had survived the rushing currents of the river by remaining still and letting the water wash away its rough edges. He told her that her heart was like that stone, and the trials she faced were the waters that were making her spirit smooth and precious. He did left her with that thought and a small smile. Years later, that woman became a source of strength for her entire community, always carrying that small stone as a reminder that she was being shaped, not broken. This shows us that the healing power of a gesture is not in its cost, but in the meaning we infuse into it. You have the ability to be that monk for someone today. You do not need to have all the answers to someone's problems. You only need to offer a perspective that honors their struggle while pointing toward the light. It is in these quiet exchanges that the true essence of spiritual life is found. We often look for miracles in the clouds or in extraordinary events, but the real miracle is the change that happens inside a person when they feel cared for. It is the softening of a clenched fist or the first deep breath taken after a long period of anxiety. These are the moments where the divine touches the earth through our actions. When you are kind, you are mirroring the vast, unconditional compassion that the enlightened ones have spoken of for centuries. It is a practice that requires no special setting or ritual. Every interaction is an altar where you can offer the incense of your good intentions. Whether it is in the way you answer a phone call, the patience you show to a slow clerk, or the warmth you bring to a family dinner, you are constantly shaping the world around you. Life has a way of presenting us with challenges that can make us feel small and insignificant. We might look at the grand scale of global problems and think that our little acts of goodness do not matter. But think of a massive stone archway. It stands strong not just because of the large blocks of granite, but because of the small pebbles and mortar that fill the gaps, holding everything in balance. Your kindness is that mortar. It fills the cracks in the social fabric and prevents the structure of our shared existence from crumbling under the pressure of negativity. When you are gentle with someone who is angry, you are breaking a chain of reactivity that could have gone on for miles. You are stopping the momentum of pain and replacing it with the momentum of peace. This is a revolutionary act. To be kind is to be a rebel against the tide of cynicism that often dominates the modern world. It is a declaration that you believe in the inherent goodness of life, despite the evidence of suffering. This belief is not a form of denial, but a form of courage. It is the courage to see the mud and still look for the lotus. The lotus does not bloom in spite of the mud, but because of it. Similarly, our capacity for profound kindness often grows from our own experiences of pain. Having known what it feels like to be lonely or misunderstood, we develop a deeper sensitivity to the loneliness of others. This shared understanding is the bridge upon which we can meet as equals. When you cross that bridge to meet someone, you are leaving behind the island of the self and entering the kingdom of we. This shift in perspective is the beginning of all true healing. It takes the focus off our own anxieties and places it on the welfare of the collective. Paradoxically, this is often the fastest way to soothe our own hearts. By being the source of someone else's comfort, we find that our own burdens feel a little lighter. It is as if the universe rewards the act of giving by replenishing the giver from an internal spring that never runs dry. There was once a community of practitioners who lived high in the mountains, far from the distractions of the busy valleys below. They spent their days in meditation and study, seeking the ultimate truth of existence. Among them was an elderly teacher who was loved for his gentle humor and his ability to see the soul of a person behind their outward behavior. One day, a young man arrived at the gates, his heart filled with anger and his mind clouded by the injustices he had faced in the city. He wanted to learn how to be powerful so that no one could ever hurt him again. The teacher did not give him a sword or a secret mantra of protection. Instead, he gave the young man a small clay pot with a tiny sprout inside. He told the young man that his only task was to keep this sprout alive. The young man was frustrated, thinking this was a waste of his time. However, as the days turned into weeks, he found himself becoming deeply attuned to the needs of the fragile plant. He noticed when the soil was too dry or when the sun was too harsh. He began to talk to the sprout, and eventually, he found his own anger softening into a protective tenderness. One morning, he realized that in learning to care for something so small and helpless, he had discovered a power far greater than any weapon. He had discovered the power of nurturing. When he went back to the teacher, the old man smiled and said that true strength is not the ability to resist pain, but the capacity to transform it into love. The young man had come looking for a shield, but he found a garden. This story reminds us that when we focus on being kind to the smallest things, we are actually training our hearts for the greatest challenges. The way we treat a plant, an animal, or a passing thought is a reflection of how we will treat the people in our lives. There is no such thing as a minor act of kindness because every act ripples outward, touching shores we may never visit. You might find that on some days, being kind feels easy, like a gentle breeze pushing you forward. On other days, it feels like rowing a boat against a heavy current. This is natural. The heart is like the sky, sometimes clear and bright, sometimes filled with clouds. The key is to remember that the sun is always there, even when it is hidden. When you feel drained and it is hard to find a kind word, that is the time to be kind to yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Self-compassion is the foundation upon which all other compassion is built. Treat your own mistakes with the same gentleness you would offer to a dear friend who is struggling. Recognize that you are a work in progress, a beautiful masterpiece that is still being painted. When you allow yourself to be imperfect, you make it easier for others to be imperfect too. This creates an atmosphere of authenticity where real healing can take place. People do not need us to be perfect. They need us to be real. They need to see that it is possible to be flawed and still be a source of light. When we stop pretending that we have everything figured out, we invite a deeper level of connection. We can say to each other that we are both walking through the fog, but we can hold hands so we do not get lost. This simple act of solidarity is a profound form of kindness. It strips away the masks we wear and reveals the common thread of our existence. In this space of honesty, the magic of kindness truly begins to work its wonders. It transforms a stranger into a brother or a sister. It turns a moment of conflict into a moment of teaching. It reminds us that we are part of something much larger than our individual lives. As you move through your day, try to look at each person you encounter as a fellow traveler on a long and winding road. Everyone is carrying a backpack filled with their own history, their own fears, and their own hopes. When you recognize this, it becomes much harder to be judgmental and much easier to be kind. A smile given to a weary traveler can be the very thing that gives them the strength to keep going for another mile. You never know whose life you are saving with a simple gesture of warmth. The ancient scriptures often speak of the four immeasurable states of mind, which are loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. These are not just abstract concepts but practical tools for living a life of meaning. Loving kindness is the wish for all beings to be happy. It is a proactive energy that seeks to create well-being wherever it goes. It is like the warmth of the sun that does not choose which flower to shine upon but gives its light freely to all. Compassion is the response of a kind heart to the suffering of others. It is the movement of the soul that wants to alleviate pain. When you see someone hurting and your heart moves toward them, that is compassion in action. It is not a pity that looks down from above, but a shared feeling that stands beside. Sympathetic joy is the ability to celebrate the success and happiness of others as if it were your own. In a world that often encourages competition and envy, this is a rare and precious quality. It expands the heart and removes the barriers of the ego. Finally, equanimity is the steady ground that allows us to remain kind even when things are difficult. It is the balance that prevents us from being swept away by the highs and lows of life. When these four qualities are cultivated, our kindness becomes a stable and reliable force. It is no longer dependent on our mood or the behavior of others. It becomes our very nature. Think of a great tree that provides shade to everyone who sits beneath it, regardless of who they are. The tree does not ask for anything in return. It simply fulfills its nature by being a source of comfort. We can strive to be like that tree. We can develop a heart that is so vast and welcoming that everyone feels safe in our presence. This kind of presence is a powerful healing force in itself. Sometimes, you do not even need to say anything. Just being there with a calm and kind energy is enough to settle the turbulent minds of those around you. I remember a story about a traveler who was lost in a dense forest during a storm. The rain was pouring down and the wind was howling through the trees. He was cold, wet, and terrified. Just as he was about to give up hope, he saw a tiny flickering light in the distance. He struggled toward it and found a small hut where an old woman lived. She did not have much, but she welcomed him in, gave him a dry blanket, and shared her simple meal of warm broth. She did not ask him where he came from or what he had done. She simply saw a person in need and responded with what she had. That night, as the storm raged outside, the traveler felt a peace he had never known in his wealthy home. He realized that the true value of a life is not measured by what we accumulate, but by how we respond to the needs of the moment. The old woman's kindness was a tiny light, but it was enough to guide him through the darkest night of his life. We all have that tiny light within us. We might think it is too small to make a difference in such a big and stormy world, but for the person who is lost in the woods, your light is everything. Do not wait for the perfect moment to be kind. Do not wait until you have more time or more money or more wisdom. The perfect moment is right now, in whatever situation you find yourself. The smallest act, when done with great love, becomes infinite in its reach. There is a subtle beauty in the way kindness transforms the one who practices it. It is like a sculptor working on a piece of marble. Every time you choose kindness over anger, you are chipping away at the rough edges of your own ego. You are refining your character and revealing the hidden masterpiece within. Over time, you begin to notice that you are no longer as easily ruffled by the irritations of life. You feel a sense of internal spaciousness and peace. This is because kindness is in harmony with the true nature of the universe. When we act out of love, we are aligned with the fundamental energy of creation. This alignment brings a sense of ease and flow to our lives. We stop fighting against the current and start moving with it. This does not mean that life becomes free of problems, but it means that we have a different way of relating to those problems. We see them as opportunities to practice our kindness rather than as obstacles to our happiness. This shift in perspective is a profound form of liberation. It frees us from the trap of victimhood and empowers us to be active participants in the healing of the world. Every day presents 1,000 opportunities to practice this. You can be kind to your thoughts by not judging them too harshly. You can be kind to your body by giving it the rest and nourishment it needs. You can be kind to the earth by treating its resources with respect. All of these small choices add up to a life that is a living prayer of gratitude. In the time of the Buddha, there was a man who was known for his incredible skill in weaving beautiful fabrics. He was proud of his work and felt that his talent made him superior to others. One day, he heard the Buddha speaking about the temporary nature of all things and the importance of a humble heart. The weaver was skeptical and decided to challenge the Buddha. He brought his finest piece of cloth, woven with the most intricate patterns and vibrant colors, and asked the Buddha if he had ever seen anything so perfect. The Buddha looked at the cloth with great appreciation and then looked into the weaver's eyes. He said that the cloth was indeed beautiful, but the heart that wove it was even more precious. He explained that just as the threads were woven together to create a pattern, our actions and intentions were woven together to create the fabric of our lives. If we weave with threads of pride and competition, the fabric will be stiff and uncomfortable. But if we weave with threads of kindness and humility, the fabric will be soft and enduring. The weaver was moved by these words and realized that his skill was a gift to be shared, not a pedestal to stand on. He began to use his talent to make clothes for those who had none, and he found that the joy he felt in giving was far greater than the pride he felt in his craftsmanship. This story teaches us that our talents and abilities are most beautiful when they are used as instruments of kindness. Whether you are a weaver, a teacher, a doctor, or a student, your work becomes a form of spiritual practice when it is done with a spirit of service. When we look at the history of humanity, we see that it is the quiet acts of kindness that have truly sustained us. While the headlines are often filled with stories of conflict and division, the reality of daily life is built on a foundation of cooperation and care. It is the mother waking up in the middle of the night to soothe a crying child. It is the neighbor checking in on an elderly friend. It is the stranger who returns a lost wallet. These are the threads that hold the world together. They are often invisible and uncelebrated, but they are the most important things we do. If we were to stop these small acts of goodness, society would collapse in a heartbeat. Therefore, we should never feel that our contributions are too small. We are part of a vast choir of kindness, and every voice matters. Even if your voice is just a whisper, it adds to the harmony of the whole. There is a deep comfort in knowing that we are part of this collective effort. It reminds us that we are never truly alone. We are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses, both past and present, who have chosen the path of the heart. Their examples inspire us to keep going, even when the road is steep. Think of the way water flows in a stream. When it encounters a rock, it does not try to break the rock. It simply flows around it, finding the path of least resistance. Over time, the constant, gentle pressure of the water wears the rock away until it becomes a smooth pebble. Kindness is like that water. It is soft and yielding, yet it has the power to transform even the hardest hearts. It does not use force or coercion. It simply persists with a quiet and steady presence. If you meet someone who is cold and distant, do not respond with coldness. Respond with warmth. Your warmth may not melt their ice immediately, but if you are consistent, the ice will eventually begin to crack. People often build walls around their hearts as a way of protecting themselves from pain. When they encounter someone who is genuinely kind, those walls can feel unnecessary. Kindness creates a safe harbor where people can let down their guard and show their true selves. This is where the magic of healing happens. In the presence of kindness, we feel seen, heard, and valued. This is what every human soul craves more than anything else. In another ancient tale, there was a great king who was known for his wisdom and justice. He had everything a person could want, yet he felt a lingering sense of dissatisfaction. He called his advisors together and asked them to find the secret to true and lasting happiness. They searched far and wide, consulting philosophers and hermits, but no one could give him a satisfactory answer. One day, a simple woodcutter came to the palace and said he knew the secret. He led the king to a small hut on the edge of the forest where a very old man was living. The man was blind and frail, yet he had a radiant smile that seemed to light up the entire room. The king asked him how he could be so happy despite his many difficulties. The old man replied that happiness is not something you find, it is something you create by being a source of joy for others. He said that every morning he woke up and thought of one small thing he could do to make someone's life a little easier. Sometimes it was just saying a kind word to the person who brought him water. Sometimes it was singing a song to a passing child. By focusing on the happiness of others, he had forgotten his own troubles. The king realized that he had been looking for happiness in all the wrong places. He began to use his power and wealth to serve his people with a more personal and compassionate touch, and he found the peace he had been seeking. This story serves as a gentle reminder that our own well-being is intimately tied to the well-being of those around us. When we reach out to help another, we are actually helping ourselves. The world can sometimes feel like a very dark place, but we must remember that darkness is simply the absence of light. We cannot fight darkness with more darkness. We can only overcome it by bringing in the light. Your kindness is a beacon that can illuminate the lives of those around you. It doesn't have to be a blinding light. Even a small, steady glow is enough to provide direction and hope. When you choose to be kind, you are taking a stand for a better world. You are saying that even in the face of suffering, you choose to believe in love. This choice is a powerful affirmation of life. It is an act of faith in the goodness of the human spirit. As we continue this conversation, let us hold this intention in our hearts. Let us look for the small ways we can be a source of healing for ourselves and for others. Let us trust in the magic of kindness to transform our lives and our world in ways we cannot even imagine. Every moment is an invitation to begin again, to open our hearts a little wider, and to walk with a more gentle step on this beautiful earth. Walking along this path of gentleness, we might notice how the air seems to change when we carry a spirit of benevolence. It is like the difference between a room with the windows shut tight and one where a soft breeze is allowed to circulate. When we are tight and guarded, the world feels rigid, but when we soften, the world seems to respond in kind. This reminds me of a time in a small village nestled in a valley, where a group of travelers were once caught in a sudden, biting frost. Most were shivering and complaining about the cold, but one elder among them began to gather small twigs to start a fire. He did not lecture the others on their attitude. He simply worked quietly, his hands moving with a rhythmic grace. As the small flame grew, he beckoned everyone closer. The warmth of that tiny fire did more than just heat their bodies. It melted the tension in their voices and brought them together in a shared moment of gratitude. This is how kindness works in the social landscape. It starts as a tiny flicker in one person's heart and eventually warms the entire circle. We do not need to be the sun to make a difference. We only need to be the one willing to gather the twigs. Every small gesture of care is a piece of fuel for the collective heart of humanity. There is an old story from the era of the first disciples that speaks of a man who was known for his sharp tongue and his quick temper. He felt that the world was an unfair place and that he had to fight for everything he had. One afternoon, he encountered a wandering teacher resting under a banyan tree. The man, looking for a reason to argue, asked the teacher why some people seemed to have all the luck while he had to struggle so much. The teacher did not answer with a complex theory on karma or fate. Instead, he asked the man to fetch him a cup of water from a nearby stream. When the man returned with the water, the teacher took a small handful of salt and dropped it into the cup. He asked the man to drink it and describe the taste. The man spat it out, complaining that it was bitter and undrinkable. Then, the teacher took the man to a large, clear lake nearby. He dropped the same amount of salt into the vast water and asked the man to take a sip from the lake. The man did so and said the water was sweet and refreshing. The teacher looked at him and said that the pain of life is like salt, neither more nor less. However, the bitterness we taste depends on the container we put it into. If your heart is as small as a cup, every little hardship will taste bitter. But if your heart is as vast as a lake, even a great deal of salt will not change its sweetness. This story invites us to expand our capacity for kindness, not just for the sake of others, but to ensure that our own lives remain sweet despite the inevitable challenges we face. When we talk about healing, we often think of fixing what is broken. But perhaps true healing is more about remembering what is whole. Underneath the scars and the stories of our past, there is a fundamental purity that remains untouched. Kindness is the tool that helps us peel back the layers of dust to reveal that inner radiance. When you treat someone with dignity, especially someone who has been treated poorly by life, you are helping them remember their own worth. You are whispering to their soul that they matter. This is a form of spiritual resuscitation. There was once a young woman who worked in a very busy market. She was often ignored by the merchants and pushed aside by the crowds. One day, a traveler stopped at her small stall, looked her directly in the eyes, and thanked her with such genuine warmth that she felt a surge of energy she had not felt in years. That one moment of being seen changed how she approached her work for the rest of her life. She began to treat every customer with the same respect she had received, and slowly, the atmosphere of that corner of the market began to shift. It became a place of refuge rather than a place of stress. We never know the depth of the impact we have when we choose to be present and kind. We are like stones thrown into a pond, creating ripples that reach far beyond our sight. The practice of kindness also involves the art of listening. In a world where everyone is trying to be heard, being the one who listens is a profound gift. To listen without judging, without preparing a comeback, and without trying to fix the situation is a rare act of love. It is about creating a sacred space where the other person can hear their own thoughts and feel their own feelings. This kind of listening is a form of silence that speaks volumes. It says that you are important enough for me to give you my most precious resource, which is my attention. When people feel heard, their internal defenses begin to drop. They feel less alone in their struggles. It is often during these moments of deep listening that the most significant breakthroughs happen. You might find that by simply being a witness to someone's story, you have provided more healing than any advice ever could. The heart has its own wisdom, and sometimes all it needs is a safe environment to find its way back to balance. Consider the life of a small bird that builds its nest in the eaves of a busy house. It does not wait for the noise to stop or for the world to become perfect before it starts its work. It simply carries one straw at a time, weaving a home out of what is available. Our lives are built in the same way. We weave our sense of peace out of the small moments of kindness we practice every day. We do not need a grand plan or a perfect environment. We just need to keep carrying the straw. There is a quiet dignity in this persistence. It is the steady heartbeat of a life well lived. When you wake up in the morning, you can ask yourself how you can be a builder of nests today. How can you create a small space of comfort for someone else? It could be as simple as sending a thoughtful message to a friend or taking a moment to appreciate the beauty of a flower. These small acts are the building blocks of a meaningful existence. They anchor us in the present moment and remind us of the beauty that is always available if we have the eyes to see it. The wisdom of the ages tells us that there is no greater wealth than a contented mind and no greater beauty than a kind heart. We spend so much of our lives chasing external things, thinking they will bring us the peace we crave. But external things are like shadows, always shifting and eventually disappearing. Kindness, however, is a treasure that we carry within us. It is the only thing that truly belongs to us and the only thing we can truly give away. When you give kindness, you do not lose it. In fact, it multiplies. The more you give, the more you have. This is the beautiful paradox of the spiritual life. It is like a well that never runs dry because it is fed by an underground spring of universal love. When we tap into this spring, we become a channel for something much larger than ourselves. Our individual efforts are joined with the efforts of countless others who have walked this path before us. We are part of a long lineage of healers, teachers, and compassionate souls who have sought to bring a little more light into the world. In the old texts, there is a story about a community that lived on the edge of a great desert. Water was very scarce, and every drop was precious. There was a well in the center of the village, but it was deep and difficult to reach. One woman in the village made it her mission to always keep a small bowl of water outside her door for the birds and the stray animals. Her neighbors thought she was being foolish, wasting such a valuable resource on creatures that could not give anything back. But the woman didn't mind. She said that the birds brought songs and life to the village, and that was enough for her. One year, there was a terrible drought, and the well began to run dry. The villagers were panicked and started to hoard what little water they had. But the woman continued to put out her small bowl. One morning, a group of travelers arrived, exhausted and parched. They saw the bowl of water outside her door and knew that this was a place of kindness and hospitality. They shared their own supplies of food and seeds with the village, and they showed the villagers how to dig deeper to find a hidden source of water that never ran dry. The kindness of one woman had saved the entire community. This story illustrates how a small act of selflessness can open the door to unexpected blessings. When we act out of a spirit of abundance rather than scarcity, we invite the universe to support us in ways we could never have planned. We often think of kindness as something we do for others, but it is also a way of being with ourselves. We are often our own harshest critics, carrying around a voice in our heads that points out every flaw and reminds us of every mistake. This internal dialogue can be incredibly draining and can make it difficult for us to be kind to others. To heal this, we must learn to treat ourselves with the same gentleness we would offer to a small child. When you make a mistake, instead of berating yourself, try saying that it is okay and that you are learning. This is not about being self-indulgent or avoiding responsibility. It is about creating an internal environment where growth is possible. Just as a plant needs soft soil and gentle rain to grow, the human spirit needs an atmosphere of kindness to reach its full potential. When you are kind to yourself, you are cultivating a sense of inner peace that naturally overflows into your interactions with others. You become a more stable and reliable presence because you are no longer constantly at war with yourself. In a world that is often obsessed with speed and efficiency, kindness can seem like a slow and inefficient way of doing things. It takes time to listen, to be patient, and to care. But we must ask ourselves what we are rushing toward. If we reach our goals but lose our humanity in the process, what have we really gained? True success is not measured by how fast we get there, but by the quality of the journey. A life lived with kindness is a life lived deeply. It is a life that values the moments of connection and the quiet beauty of the everyday. When we slow down, we begin to notice the small opportunities for goodness that we might otherwise miss. We see the tired expression on a colleague's face or the lonely look in an elderly neighbor's eyes. These are the invitations to be a source of healing. By responding to these invitations, we are making the world a little softer and a little more beautiful, one moment at a time. There was a respected teacher who lived in a forest, and many people would come to him seeking advice on how to find peace. One day, a man came to him and said that he felt completely overwhelmed by the suffering in the world. He saw so much pain and injustice that he felt paralyzed. The teacher took the man for a walk through the forest. They came to a place where a giant tree had fallen, crushing everything beneath it. But the teacher pointed out that in the space where the tree had been, new life was already beginning to sprout. Tiny green shoots were pushing their way through the damp earth, reaching for the sunlight that was now able to reach the forest floor. The teacher said that we cannot always stop the great trees from falling, but we can be the ones who help the new shoots to grow. We can be the ones who provide the care and the protection that allow life to continue even in the face of destruction. This shifted the man's perspective. He realized that he didn't have to save the whole world. He just had to tend to the small corner of it where he lived. This is a very liberating thought. We do not need to carry the weight of the entire world on our shoulders. We only need to carry our own small part with love and intention. As we move through our lives, we can think of ourselves as gardeners of the Spirit. We are constantly planting seeds with our thoughts, words, and actions. If we plant seeds of kindness, we will eventually harvest a life of joy and connection. If we plant seeds of anger or resentment, we will harvest a life of conflict and isolation. The choice is ours, and we make it every single day. The beauty of this is that it is never too late to start a new garden. No matter what we have planted in the past, we can begin today to sow the seeds of a better future. The earth of the heart is always ready to receive new life. All it takes is a little bit of attention and a lot of patience. When you encounter someone who is difficult or unkind, try to remember that they are likely acting out of their own pain. People who are happy and at peace do not feel the need to hurt others. Their behavior is a cry for help, even if it doesn't look like it. This doesn't mean you have to tolerate abuse or allow yourself to be mistreated. But it does mean that you can respond with a sense of perspective. You can choose not to take their behavior personally. You can choose to see the wounded child behind the angry adult. This perspective allows you to remain calm and centered even in the middle of a storm. It gives you the freedom to choose your response rather than just reacting. This is a very powerful place to be. It is the place where true compassion begins. There is a story about a great artist who was commissioned to paint a mural of the most beautiful thing in the world. He traveled all over the country, looking for the perfect subject. He saw majestic mountains, sparkling oceans, and magnificent palaces. But none of them seemed quite right. Finally, he returned to his own village, feeling discouraged. As he was walking home, he saw a mother rocking her baby to sleep in the golden light of the sunset. He saw the look of pure, unconditional love on her face, and he knew he had found his subject. The most beautiful thing in the world is not an object or a place. It is a moment of pure, selfless love. This is the magic of kindness. It transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. It takes the simple materials of our lives and turns them into something divine. In our daily interactions, we can practice a form of stealth kindness. These are the small things that no one sees but that make a difference. It might be picking up a piece of litter, leaving a kind note for a coworker, or simply sending a silent wish for happiness to a stranger on the bus. These anonymous acts are especially powerful because they are free from any desire for recognition or reward. They are done purely for the sake of adding a little more goodness to the world. They strengthen our internal muscles of compassion and remind us that we are part of a secret society of people who are working to make the world a better place. Healing is not a destination, but a continuous process of opening up to the world with a kind and curious heart. It is about learning to trust in the inherent goodness of life, even when things are difficult. It is about recognizing that we are all in this together and that our individual well-being is connected to the well-being of the whole. When we live from this place of connection, our lives become a natural expression of kindness. We don't have to try to be kind, we simply are kind because it is the most natural thing in the world. This is the goal of the spiritual path, to return to our original state of wholeness and love. Every word we speak has a weight and a color. Words of kindness are light and bright, like the feathers of a bird. They lift people up and help them to see the beauty in themselves. Words of anger are heavy and dark, like stones that weigh people down and make it hard for them to move. We should be very careful with our words, knowing that they have the power to create or destroy. Before you speak, you can ask yourself if what you are about to say is true, is it necessary, and is it kind? If it doesn't meet those three criteria, perhaps it is better to remain silent. Silence is often the kindest thing we can offer. It provides the space for others to speak and for the truth to emerge. Think of the way a master musician plays an instrument. They don't force the notes, they allow the music to flow through them. They are in a state of total presence and alignment with the music. We can approach our lives in the same way. We can be instruments of kindness, allowing the music of the heart to flow through us into everything we do. When we are in this state of flow, our actions are effortless and beautiful. We are not trying to be something we are not, we are simply being our truest selves. This is the ultimate form of healing, to be fully present and fully alive in the beauty of the moment. There was once a man who spent his whole life looking for a legendary hidden valley where the water was said to heal all wounds and the air was filled with the scent of eternal spring. He traveled across deserts and over mountains, facing many dangers and hardships. Finally, when he was very old and tired, he found the valley. But when he entered, he was surprised to find that it looked very much like the village where he had grown up. The people were simple and lived in harmony with nature. The water was clear and cold, and the air was fresh. He realized that the healing power of the valley was not in some magical spring, but in the way the people treated each other. They were kind, patient, and compassionate. They looked out for one another and celebrated each other's joys. The man understood that he had traveled the world looking for something that had been available to him all along, right in his own backyard. This realization is available to all of us. We don't have to go anywhere or do anything extraordinary to experience the healing magic of kindness. It is here in this breath, in this moment, in this heart. It is in the way we look at a friend, the way we handle a difficult situation, and the way we treat ourselves. By choosing kindness, we are choosing to live in that hidden valley of peace and beauty. We are creating our own paradise right here in the midst of our ordinary lives. This is the greatest miracle of all, and it is something we can all participate in. Imagine a world where every person made a commitment to do just one small act of kindness every day. The cumulative effect would be staggering. It would be like a gentle rain falling on a parched land, causing everything to bloom and flourish. We have the power to create that world, one choice at a time. It starts with you, And it starts right now. There is no need to wait for anyone else to begin. You can be the first drop of rain. You can be the first spark of light. By doing so, you are not only changing the world, you are also changing yourself. You are becoming the person you were always meant to be, a source of healing and a beacon of hope in a world that needs it more than ever. As the evening settles in and the world grows quiet, we can take a moment to reflect on the day. We can look back at the moments where we were able to be kind and offer a silent word of gratitude. We can also look at the moments where we fell short and offer ourselves a word of forgiveness. This practice of reflection helps us to stay mindful and to deepen our commitment to the path of the heart. It reminds us that every day is a new opportunity to practice the art of living with kindness. There is a profound sense of peace that comes from knowing that you have lived your day in alignment with your highest values. Even if things didn't go perfectly, if you can say that you tried to be kind, then you have succeeded in the most important way. This inner peace is the greatest reward for our efforts. It is a quiet confidence that remains with us even in the midst of life's storms. It is the solid ground upon which we can build a life of true meaning and purpose. The ancient sages taught that the heart is like a mirror. When the mirror is covered in dust, it cannot reflect the light. But when we clean the mirror with the cloth of kindness, it shines brightly and reflects the beauty of everything around it. Our practice is to keep cleaning the mirror, day after day, moment after moment. Each act of kindness is a stroke of the cloth, removing a little more of the dust of selfishness and fear. As the mirror becomes clearer, we begin to see the world as it truly is, a place of infinite beauty and possibility. We see the divine light in everyone we meet, and we realize that we are all part of the same magnificent tapestry of life. There was a humble woodcarver who lived in a small village. He wasn't famous or wealthy, but everyone loved him because he always had a kind word and a helping hand. One day, a wealthy merchant came to the village and asked the woodcarver to make him a grand throne that would show everyone his power and importance. The woodcarver agreed, but he told the merchant that it would take some time because he had to find the right wood. He spent months searching the forest, and finally, he found a fallen tree that had been seasoned by the wind and the rain. He carved the throne with great care, but instead of grand symbols of power, he carved scenes of everyday kindness. He carved a child helping an old man, a neighbor sharing a meal, and a person tending to a wounded bird. When the merchant saw the throne, he was at first disappointed. But as he sat in it, he felt a strange sense of peace and humility. He realized that true power is not found in dominating others, but in serving them with a kind heart. The throne became a reminder for the merchant to lead with compassion, and he became known as the most just and beloved leader the region had ever seen. This story shows us that kindness can be woven into everything we do. It doesn't have to be something extra. It can be the very foundation of our work and our relationships. When we infuse our actions with kindness, they take on a deeper meaning and have a more lasting impact. We are not just making objects or performing tasks, we are creating a more compassionate world. This is the true purpose of our lives, to be a source of healing and a light for others. As we continue to explore the healing magic of kindness, let us remember that it is a journey with no end. There is always more to learn, more to give, and more to love. The heart has an infinite capacity for growth, and every act of kindness expands it just a little more. This is the most beautiful adventure we can ever embark upon, a journey into the very center of our own humanity. Along the way, we will encounter many challenges, but we will also discover many wonders. We will find that the more we give, the more we receive, and that the simplest acts are often the most profound. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and the journey of a kind heart begins with a single thought. Let that thought be one of warmth and goodwill for yourself and for all beings. Let it be a seed that you plant in the fertile soil of your heart. With a little bit of care and attention, that seed will grow into a magnificent tree of compassion that will provide shade and comfort for generations to come. This is your legacy, the beauty you leave behind in the hearts of those you have touched. It is a legacy that will never fade, a light that will continue to shine long after you are gone. In the silence of our own hearts, we can find the strength to be kind even when it is difficult. We can find the wisdom to see the truth behind the appearances. We can find the love that connects us all. This internal sanctuary is always available to us, a place of peace and renewal in the midst of a busy world. By spending time in this sanctuary, we can recharge our spirits and find the inspiration to continue our practice. We can remember who we truly are and why we are here. We are here to be the hands and the heart of the universe. We are here to bring a little more kindness into the world, one moment at a time. This is our sacred task, and it is a task that brings great joy and meaning to our lives. When we are kind, we are fulfilling our true potential. We are becoming the best version of ourselves. And in doing so, we are helping the world to become the best version of itself. This is the healing magic of kindness, and it is available to each and every one of us, every single day. Looking back at the path we have walked together, it becomes clear that the warmth we share is not just a personal comfort but a bridge that spans across the vast canyons of human isolation. There is a certain rhythm to a life lived with an open heart, a cadence that sounds like the gentle lapping of waves against a sturdy shore. When we decide to be the ones who bring peace into a room, we are participating in a quiet revolution that does not need banners or loud voices to succeed. It only needs the steady pulse of a sincere intention. Think of how a single drop of honey can change the flavor of an entire cup of bitter tea. Your presence can be that sweetness in a world that sometimes feels a bit too sharp around the edges. When we encounter someone who is stuck in the thick thorns of their own negativity, our kindness acts as a pair of shears, slowly and carefully clearing a path so they can see the sunlight again. This is not about being a savior, but about being a companion who knows that everyone occasionally gets lost in the woods. By staying calm and soft, we provide a point of reference for them to find their own way back to their center. In the ancient records of those who followed the path of light, there is a beautiful account of a traveler who arrived at a monastery seeking the meaning of true wealth. The elder there did not show him a treasury filled with gold or a library of endless scrolls. Instead, the elder took the traveler to the communal kitchen where several people were preparing a meal for the local villagers who had fallen on hard times. One person was peeling vegetables with such care and focus that it looked like a dance. Another was stirring a large pot with a smile that seemed to come from a deep well of inner joy. The elder explained that these people were the wealthiest in the land because they had discovered how to turn their energy into a gift for others. He said that gold can be stolen and books can be burned, but the merit of a kind heart is a currency that exists in a realm where it can never be lost or diminished. The traveler realized that he had been looking for a treasure outside of himself when the real diamond was waiting to be polished within his own chest. This perspective changes everything about how we see our daily chores and interactions. Suddenly, washing a dish for a family member or helping a colleague with a difficult task becomes a way of increasing the true wealth of the world. There is a profound healing that occurs when we let go of the need to be right and instead choose to be kind. We often waste so much energy defending our opinions or protecting our egos from perceived slights. It is like carrying a heavy shield everywhere we go, hoping it will keep us safe, but in reality, it only makes us tired and keeps us at a distance from the people we love. When we lay down the shield, we find that the world is not as hostile as we imagined. Most people are just like us, looking for a little bit of warmth and a reason to feel secure. By being the first one to lower our guard, we give others permission to do the same. This vulnerability is where the magic of connection truly happens. It is the soil where the seeds of understanding can finally take root and grow. When you look at someone with eyes of compassion, you are essentially telling them that they are safe in your presence. This safety is the greatest gift you can offer to another human being. It allows them to set down their own burdens for a moment and breathe. I recall a story of a young boy who lived near a vast, ancient forest. He spent his days exploring the hidden trails and talking to the animals. One day, he found a massive old oak tree that seemed to be dying. Its leaves were brown and its branches were brittle. The boy didn't know much about trees, but he felt a deep sadness for this giant of the woods. Every day, he would bring a small bucket of water from the nearby stream and pour it over the roots of the tree. He would sit by the trunk and tell the tree about his day, whispering stories of the birds he had seen and the clouds in the sky. The older villagers laughed at him, saying that a bucket of water could do nothing for such a large tree. But the boy persisted, month after month. Slowly, the tree began to show signs of life. A few green leaves appeared, then more, until finally, the oak stood tall and vibrant once again. The boy's small but consistent acts of love had reached the deep, hidden life force of the tree and invited it to stay. This shows us that we should never underestimate the power of persistence in kindness. Even if the results are not immediate, the energy you put out is never wasted. It is working in ways that are invisible to the eye, touching the roots of the situation and preparing the way for a beautiful blooming. The world is often like that old oak tree, thirsty for a bit of genuine care and attention. We might feel like our bucket of water is too small to make a difference in the face of so much suffering, but that is not the truth. The truth is that every drop counts. Every kind thought you send out into the universe adds to the collective ocean of peace. When you are kind to a stranger, you are not just helping that one person, you are sending a signal to everyone who witnesses it that goodness is still alive and well. You are giving them a reason to believe in the beauty of life. This belief is contagious. It spreads from person to person, creating a network of light that can penetrate even the deepest shadows. This is how we change the world. Not through grand declarations or massive movements, but through the quiet, steady accumulation of small acts of love. In our journey, we must also be mindful of the way we treat the natural world around us. The earth is not just a backdrop for our lives, it is a living, breathing entity that sustains us in every moment. When we show kindness to a small insect, or when we take care not to waste the resources we have been given, we are practicing a form of universal compassion. Everything is interconnected. The way we treat the environment is a reflection of the way we treat ourselves and each other. By living with a sense of gratitude and respect for all life, we align ourselves with the natural order of things. This alignment brings a deep sense of harmony and peace. We stop being consumers and start being caretakers. This shift in identity is a vital part of our spiritual growth. It expands our circle of concern beyond our immediate family and friends to include the trees, the rivers, and the stars. There was a wise woman who lived on the edge of a great mountain. People would climb the steep paths just to sit in her presence for a few minutes. One day, a man asked her what the most important lesson she had learned in her long life was. She didn't speak at first, but instead, she picked up a small, weathered stone from the ground. She held it out in her open palm and asked the man to look at it. She said that this stone had been through many storms, been tossed by the wind, and scorched by the sun. Yet, it remained calm and centered. She told him that the most important thing is to be like the stone in the face of external changes, but to be like a flower when it comes to the heart. Be strong and steady in your principles, but soft and fragrant in your interactions. This balance is the secret to a life of grace. We can be firm in our commitment to the truth while still being incredibly gentle in how we share it. We don't need to be loud or aggressive to stand up for what is right. In fact, the most powerful truths are often those that are spoken with the quietest voices. When we practice kindness, we are also practicing a form of listening to the universe. We become more sensitive to the subtle cues and opportunities that life presents to us. We might feel a sudden urge to call a friend we haven't spoken to in years, only to find that they were going through a difficult time and really needed someone to talk to. These are not coincidences, they are the result of a heart that is tuned to the frequency of love. When we are in this state of receptivity, we become instruments through which healing can occur. We are no longer just separate individuals trying to make our way through the world, we are part of a grand orchestration of compassion. This is a very beautiful way to live. It takes the pressure off us to have everything figured out and allows us to trust in the flow of life. We can be confident that if we keep our hearts open and our intentions pure, we will always be in the right place at the right time to offer a helping hand. Think of the way a mother bird feeds her young. She doesn't ask for a reward or wait for a thank you. She simply acts out of a deep, instinctual love that is beyond words. We have that same capacity for selfless action within us. It is often buried under layers of social conditioning and fear, but it is always there, waiting to be rediscovered. When we act out of this place of pure giving, we experience a joy that is unlike any other. It is a joy that is not dependent on the outcome of our actions, but on the act of giving itself. This is what it means to live in the state of grace. It is a life where every action is an offering and every breath is a prayer of gratitude. By cultivating this state of mind, we become a source of constant healing for everyone we encounter. There is a story about a great king who wanted to build the most magnificent temple in the world. He hired the best architects and used the most expensive materials. But no matter how hard they worked, the temple never seemed to be finished. Something was always going wrong. One day, a humble monk visited the king and told him that the reason the temple wasn't finishing was because it was built on pride instead of love. The monk suggested that the king should stop building for a while and instead spend his time serving the poor in his city. The king was skeptical but decided to give it a try. He spent months working alongside his subjects, listening to their stories and helping them with their struggles. He began to feel a deep connection to his people that he had never felt before. When he finally returned to the temple site, he found that the work was progressing effortlessly. The workers were happy, and the materials seemed to fit together perfectly. The temple was finished in no time, and it was more beautiful than the king could have ever imagined. He realized that the true temple was not the building itself, but the love and connection he had built with his people. This story reminds us that our external projects and goals are only as meaningful as the spirit in which they are pursued. If we act out of a desire for fame or power, our work will always feel hollow and incomplete. But if we act out of a spirit of service and kindness, everything we do will be infused with a sense of purpose and beauty. Our lives are the temples we are building every day. Let us make sure that we are building them on a foundation of love. Let us fill them with the light of compassion and the fragrance of gentleness. When we do this, our lives become a sanctuary where others can find rest and renewal. Every interaction is an opportunity to practice this art of building. When you speak to a child, you are shaping their understanding of the world. When you listen to an elder, you are honoring the wisdom of the past. When you help a neighbor, you are strengthening the bonds of community. These are the small, everyday choices that determine the quality of our lives. They might seem insignificant in the moment, but over time, they create a masterpiece of a life. We are all artists, and the world is our canvas. Let us choose our colors wisely. Let us paint with the shades of kindness, patience, and understanding. Let us create a world that is a reflection of the beauty we carry within our own hearts. As we move deeper into the evening, let us take a moment to be still and breathe. Feel the air moving in and out of your body, a constant reminder of the gift of life. In this stillness, you can reconnect with your own inner light. You can let go of the worries of the day and rest in the knowledge that you are enough, just as you are. You don't need to do anything or be anyone else to be worthy of love. You are a unique and precious expression of the universe, and your presence in the world makes a difference. Let this realization settle into your heart and bring you a sense of deep peace. From this place of inner quiet, you can face whatever challenges the future may bring with a calm and steady spirit. Imagine a world where kindness is the primary language we speak. A world where people look at each other with curiosity instead of judgment. A world where we celebrate each other's successes and support each other's failures. This world is not a distant dream, it is a possibility that exists in every moment. It begins with the choice to be kind to yourself and to those around you. It grows through the steady practice of compassion and the willingness to see the humanity in everyone. By living this way, you are not just hoping for a better world, you are creating it. You are a pioneer of the heart, exploring the frontiers of love and showing others the way. There is a beautiful saying that we are all just walking each other home. This perfectly captures the essence of the spiritual journey. We are all travelers on the same road, and we are all heading toward the same destination. Along the way, we can choose to be companions who help each other through the difficult parts. We can share our food, our stories, and our laughter. We can hold a hand when the path is steep and offer a word of encouragement when the road is long. By doing so, we make the journey more beautiful for everyone. We realize that the destination is not somewhere else, it is right here in the connection we share. The magic of kindness is that it transforms both the giver and the receiver. It breaks down the walls of the ego and allows us to experience the reality of our interconnectedness. It reminds us that we are part of a larger whole, a vast and beautiful tapestry of life. When we act with kindness, we are not just doing something for someone else, we are participating in the healing of the entire world. We are bringing a bit more light into the darkness and a bit more warmth into the cold. This is our sacred purpose, and it is the greatest joy we can ever know. Let us embrace this purpose with all our hearts and walk this path together with a gentle and loving step. Think of the way a small candle can light a dark room. It doesn't need to be a massive bonfire to be effective. Its small, steady flame is enough to show the way and provide comfort. Your kindness is like that candle. It might seem small in the face of the world's problems, but its light is powerful and true. Do not be discouraged if you cannot fix everything at once. Just keep your candle burning. Keep showing up with love and intention. Your light will find its way to those who need it most, and it will inspire them to light their own candles as well. This is how the darkness is eventually overcome, one small flame at a time. In the silence of this moment, feel the warmth of your own heart. Know that this warmth is a gift that you can share with the world. You have an infinite supply of it, and the more you give, the more you will have. Trust in this abundance. Trust in the power of kindness to heal and transform. As you move forward from here, carry this intention with you. Let it guide your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Be a source of peace, a beacon of hope, and a channel for love. The world is waiting for your unique light, and you have everything you need to shine brightly. The journey continues, and every step is a new beginning. Every moment is a chance to open your heart a little wider and to be a little more kind. Let us walk this path with a sense of wonder and gratitude, knowing that we are part of a magnificent and mysterious process of awakening. We are all learning, all growing, and all finding our way home together. And in the simple act of being kind, we discover that we are already there. Deep within the silence of a morning mist, there is a clarity that often escapes us during the heat of the day. It is in this quietude that we can hear the softest whispers of our own conscience, reminding us that every living being we meet is a mirror reflecting a part of our own soul. When we approach another with a heart full of benevolence, we are essentially cleaning that mirror, allowing a clearer light to shine through the glass of our shared existence. There is no effort too small when it involves the comfort of another. Think of a gardener who meticulously tends to a single, fragile sprout in a vast field. To an outsider, that one plant might seem insignificant compared to the surrounding landscape, but to the gardener, it is a life that holds the potential for beauty and sustenance. Our interactions are exactly like that. A single patient response to someone who is frustrated, or a quiet nod of validation to someone who feels invisible, can be the very nutrient that allows their spirit to survive a difficult season. We are all gardeners in the social landscape, and the seeds of kindness we plant today will determine the fragrance of the world we walk in tomorrow. In the ancient records of the desert elders, there is a story of a traveler who was searching for the spring of eternal peace. He had crossed many borders and climbed many peaks, but the spring remained elusive. One day, he came across a small, dusty village where the people were unusually cheerful despite their meager surroundings. He asked an old man sitting by the road if he knew the location of the Spring of Peace. The old man smiled and pointed to a communal table where the villagers were sharing their simple lunch. He said that the spring was not a place one could find on a map, but a way of moving through the world. He explained that these people found peace because they never let a neighbor go hungry and never let a stranger feel unwelcome. They understood that the water of life is meant to be shared, and in the act of sharing, it becomes an infinite supply. The traveler realized that he had been looking for a destination when he should have been looking for a way to connect. True peace is the byproduct of a heart that is habitually kind. It is the natural state of those who have stopped trying to take from the world and have started looking for what they can give. When we consider the nature of suffering, we see that much of it comes from a feeling of being separate and alone. We build walls around our hearts to protect ourselves from being hurt, but those same walls also keep out the very love and connection that we need to heal. Kindness is the gentle force that dismantles these walls, stone by stone. It does not use a sledgehammer, it uses the persistent warmth of the sun. When you show kindness to someone who is guarded, you are showing them that it is safe to let their guard down. You are inviting them back into the circle of human warmth. This process of dismantling is slow and requires great patience, but it is the only way to create true and lasting healing. We must be willing to be the ones who stay, even when others walk away. We must be willing to be the constant presence that says, "I see you, and you are not alone." This kind of steadfastness is a rare and precious form of compassion. It is the anchor that holds a ship steady in the midst of a gale. There was once a famous woodworker who was known for creating instruments that produced the most hauntingly beautiful music. When asked for his secret, he said that he spent more time listening to the wood than he did carving it. He would walk through the forest and wait for a fallen branch to speak to him, telling him what kind of instrument it wanted to become. He treated every piece of wood as if it had a story to tell and a soul to express. This attitude of deep listening and respect is what we should bring to our relationships. Every person we encounter is like a piece of wood waiting to be heard. They have their own unique grain, their own knots, and their own hidden melodies. If we approach them with the intention of forcing them into a shape of our choosing, we will only create friction. But if we approach them with the patience of the woodworker, listening for their true essence, we can help them find their own voice. We can be the ones who help them turn their struggles into a song. This is the ultimate act of creative kindness, to see the potential in someone and to hold the space for them to become who they truly are. The ripples of a single kind act are often far more extensive than we can perceive with our limited vision. Imagine a young girl who decides to spend her afternoon reading to an elderly neighbor who can no longer see well. The neighbor, touched by the girl's presence, feels a renewed sense of connection to the world and decides to write a letter of forgiveness to an old friend. That friend, receiving the letter, experiences a profound weight lifting from their heart and is inspired to volunteer at a local shelter. The chain reaction continues, touching dozens of lives, all because one girl chose to give a small amount of her time. We never know the full extent of the good we do. We are like weavers working on the back of a great tapestry. We can only see the knots and the loose threads from our side, but on the other side, a magnificent and intricate pattern is being formed. We must trust in the process and keep weaving with the finest threads of our integrity and love. The beauty of the whole is dependent on the quality of each individual stitch. In our pursuit of a meaningful life, we must also learn to be kind to the transitions and changes that occur within us. We are not static beings, we are constantly evolving and shifting like the seasons. Sometimes we are in a season of growth and abundance, and other times we are in a season of quiet reflection and shedding. It is important to treat these shifts with a sense of equanimity. Do not judge yourself for being in a winter phase where you feel less productive or more introspective. This is a natural part of the cycle of life. By being kind to your own process, you develop a deeper patience for the processes of others. You realize that everyone is going through their own internal shifts and that a little bit of grace can go a long way. When you stop fighting against the current of your own life, you find that you have much more energy to be a source of support for those around you. You become like a river that flows naturally, nourishing everything it touches without even trying. There is an old story of a village that was famous for its beautiful communal garden. Visitors would come from all over to see the vibrant flowers and taste the sweet fruits. One visitor asked the head gardener what the secret to such a perfect garden was. The gardener replied that there was no secret, only a daily commitment to the 3 G's: gratitude, gentleness, and generosity. He explained that every morning, the gardeners would start by expressing gratitude for the soil and the sun. Then, they would work with gentleness, making sure not to harm even the smallest worm or insect. Finally, they would share the harvest with a spirit of generosity, making sure that everyone in the village had enough to eat. He said that the garden flourished because it was treated as a living expression of these 3 qualities. We can apply this same philosophy to the garden of our own lives. By cultivating gratitude for what we have, gentleness in how we act, and generosity in what we give, we create an environment where everyone can thrive. Our lives become a place of beauty and nourishment for all who enter. Kindness is also a form of intellectual humility. It is the recognition that we do not have all the answers and that every person we meet has something to teach us. When we approach a conversation with the desire to understand rather than to be right, we open the door to a much deeper level of connection. We stop seeing people as others and start seeing them as fellow explorers in the mystery of life. This openness is a profound act of respect. It says that I value your perspective and your experience as much as my own. This kind of intellectual kindness can heal many of the divisions that plague our world. It allows us to find common ground even when we disagree on the details. It reminds us that our shared humanity is far more important than our differing opinions. By listening with an open mind, we are practicing a form of hospitality that is both rare and transformative. I remember a story about a great teacher who was once asked how to deal with people who are consistently difficult and unkind. The teacher replied that we should treat them as if they are sick and in need of medicine. He said that their unkindness is a symptom of a deep internal pain, and our kindness is the medicine that can help them heal. He warned that if we respond to their anger with more anger, we are only making the illness worse. But if we respond with a steady and calm compassion, we provide the environment they need to recover. This does not mean that we should allow ourselves to be mistreated, but it does mean that we should maintain an internal posture of goodwill. We can set firm boundaries while still wishing for their well-being. This is a very high level of practice, but it is one that brings a great deal of peace. It frees us from being controlled by the behavior of others and allows us to remain centered in our own values. The healing power of kindness is often found in the most ordinary of places. It is in the way a father tucks his child into bed, the way a coworker offers a word of encouragement during a stressful project, or the way a stranger shares an umbrella in a sudden downpour. These are not grand events, yet they are the events that stay with us. They are the moments that make us feel that the world is a good and safe place. When we are the ones providing these moments, we are acting as agents of the divine. We are showing that love is not just a concept, but a living and active force. We are grounding the high ideals of our spiritual traditions in the gritty reality of everyday life. This is where true transformation happens. It happens in the small, repeated choices to be kind when we could just as easily be indifferent. Consider the life of a mountain stream. It starts as a small trickle of melting snow high up on the peaks. As it flows down, it joins with other trickles, becoming a small brook, then a river, and finally part of the vast ocean. Along the way, it encounters many obstacles, rocks, fallen trees, and steep drops. But it doesn't stop. It finds a way around, over, or through. It remains true to its nature, which is to flow toward the sea. Our kindness should be like that stream. It might start small, but as we practice it, it grows in strength and momentum. It should flow through every part of our lives, smoothing out the rough edges of our character and bringing life to everything in its path. Even when we encounter obstacles, we should find a way to keep flowing. We should remain true to our nature as compassionate beings, always moving toward the great ocean of universal love. There was a humble potter who lived in a small cottage by the woods. He spent his days at the wheel, turning lumps of clay into beautiful vessels. One day, a young apprentice asked him how he managed to make every pot look so graceful and balanced. The potter said that the secret was not in the hands, but in the heart. He explained that before he started each piece, he would take a moment to center himself and connect with a feeling of peace and goodwill. He believed that the clay could feel his intention and that it would respond accordingly. If he was rushed or angry, the pot would turn out stiff and awkward. But if he was calm and kind, the pot would be soft and elegant. He said that we are all like potters, and our lives are the clay. The way we shape our days depends on the intention we hold in our hearts. This story is a beautiful metaphor for the power of mindfulness. When we act from a place of conscious kindness, our lives take on a natural beauty and balance that is felt by everyone around us. As the day moves forward, let us keep this image of the potter in our minds. Let us be conscious of the energy we are bringing to our work, our conversations, and our quiet moments. Let us choose to infuse our day with the spirit of kindness, knowing that it will shape our experience in profound ways. Even if things don't go exactly as planned, we can remain centered in our intention. We can find the small opportunities to be a source of comfort and peace for ourselves and for others. This is the art of living, and it is a masterpiece that we are creating together, one breath at a time. Imagine the strength it takes for a tiny green blade of grass to push its way through a crack in a concrete sidewalk. It doesn't use force, it uses the quiet, persistent energy of life. Kindness is that same kind of strength. It might seem soft and delicate, but it has the power to overcome the hardest barriers. It can break through the concrete of cynicism and the asphalt of indifference. By being consistently kind, we are asserting the power of life over the forces of stagnation. We are showing that there is always a way for growth and connection to happen, no matter how difficult the circumstances. This realization is incredibly empowering. It reminds us that we are never truly helpless as long as we have the capacity to be kind. We always have a choice in how we respond to the world, and that choice is our greatest power. There is a profound sense of freedom that comes from letting go of the need to control the outcome of our kind acts. When we give without any expectation of a return, we are free from the possibility of disappointment. We find that the act of giving is its own reward. The joy is in the moment of connection, not in the gratitude that might or might not follow. This selfless giving is the purest form of kindness. It is a reflection of the unconditional love that is at the heart of the universe. When we practice this, we are aligning ourselves with the highest possible frequency of existence. We feel a sense of lightness and ease that is beyond description. We realize that we have everything we need and that our only task is to share the abundance we have discovered within ourselves. In the silence of our inner reflection, we can find the courage to be kind even when we feel hurt or misunderstood. We can choose to be the one who breaks the cycle of pain by responding with a soft word instead of a sharp one. This is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of immense spiritual maturity. It shows that we have found a source of peace that is not dependent on external circumstances. We have built an internal sanctuary that no one can touch. From this sanctuary, we can offer the gift of kindness to the world, regardless of how the world treats us. This is the ultimate form of healing, to remain a source of light even in the darkest of times. Think of the stars that shine in the night sky. They are millions of miles away, yet their light reaches us and provides a sense of wonder and direction. Your kindness is like that starlight. It may seem distant or insignificant to you, but to someone who is lost in the darkness, it is a beacon of hope. It reminds them that there is beauty and order in the universe, even when things feel chaotic. It gives them the strength to keep going. Never underestimate the power of your light. Even a small flicker can make a big difference. Keep shining, keep being kind, and trust that your light is making the world a brighter place for everyone. The practice of kindness is a lifelong journey, and every day is a new opportunity to learn and grow. There will be times when we fail, and that is okay. The important thing is to pick ourselves up, offer ourselves a bit of forgiveness, and try again. The path of the heart is not a straight line, it is a spiral that takes us deeper and deeper into the truth of who we are. With every act of kindness, we are moving closer to our true home. We are discovering the magic that has been within us all along, waiting to be shared. Let us continue this journey together, with a gentle spirit and a heart full of love. Everything we do is a form of communication. Our posture, our tone of voice, and the expression on our face all send a message to the world. Let that message be one of kindness and peace. Let people feel safe and valued in your presence. This doesn't require any special skills, it only requires a willingness to be present and to care. When you truly see someone, you are offering them a rare and beautiful gift. You are saying that their existence matters. This simple recognition is often the beginning of a profound healing process. It is the foundation upon which all other acts of kindness are built. As we move toward the next part of our conversation, let us hold this sense of presence in our hearts. Let us remain open to the lessons that life is offering us in every moment. Let us trust in the wisdom of the heart and the healing power of a kind word. We are all in this together, and by supporting each other with kindness, we make the journey more beautiful for everyone. There is so much beauty to be discovered, so much love to be shared, and so much healing to be done. Let us proceed with a gentle and steady step, knowing that we are exactly where we need to be. The sunlight filtering through the leaves of an ancient banyan tree creates a mosaic of light and shadow on the ground, reminding us that life is always a blend of clarity and mystery. Within this dance of light, we find our place not as masters of the world, but as humble participants in a grand symphony of existence. Every gesture of warmth we extend is a note in that symphony, contributing to a melody that can calm the most turbulent of spirits. There is a profound stillness that comes when we stop trying to outshine others and instead focus on how we can help them glow. This is the essence of a compassionate heart. It does not seek the spotlight, it seeks to be the lantern that guides a weary traveler through a foggy night. When you choose to speak words that heal rather than words that wound, you are literally changing the chemistry of the environment around you. Peace is not just the absence of noise, but the presence of a deep, abiding kindness that remains steady even when the world is loud. In the old scrolls of a forgotten monastery, there is a chronicle of a monk who was tasked with tending to the gate of a great temple. He was not a scholar or a famous teacher, but he had a way of greeting every visitor that made them feel as though they were the most important person in the world. One day, a high official arrived, burdened by the heavy responsibilities of his office and the many conflicts he had to resolve. He expected a grand reception, but instead, he was met by the monk who simply offered him a cool drink of water and a quiet place to sit under a flowering plum tree. The monk did not ask about the official's rank or his troubles. He just sat nearby, weaving a basket from dried reeds, radiating a sense of complete contentment. After an hour of sitting in that peaceful presence, the official felt his stress evaporate. He realized that the solutions to his problems were not found in more power or more cleverness, but in a return to the simple state of being kind and present. He left the temple with a light heart, carrying the monk's quiet grace back into the halls of government. This story teaches us that we do not need to do big things to have a big impact. Our presence, when infused with genuine care, is a powerful medicine in itself. Kindness is also a form of profound courage. It is easy to be hard and cynical when we have been hurt, but it takes immense strength to remain soft and open. It is the courage to trust in the goodness of life even when we are standing in the middle of a storm. When you choose to be kind to someone who has been unkind to you, you are performing a spiritual alchemy. You are taking the lead of their anger and turning it into the gold of your own integrity. This does not mean you are a doormat, it means you are an architect of a different kind of reality. You are refusing to let the negativity of others dictate the quality of your own soul. This inner independence is a mark of true maturity. It allows you to be a source of light that is not extinguished by the shadows of the world. By maintaining your kindness, you are protecting the most sacred part of yourself. Think of the way a master calligrapher approaches a blank piece of paper. There is a moment of deep silence before the brush even touches the surface. In that silence, the calligrapher is connecting with the breath and the intention of the heart. Every stroke is then made with a blend of discipline and fluidity. Our lives are the paper, and our actions are the strokes of the brush. If we act with a rushed or agitated mind, the patterns we create will be jagged and unsettling. But if we act from a place of mindful kindness, our lives become a work of art that brings beauty to everyone who sees it. We can practice this by taking a small pause before we respond to a difficult email, or before we walk through the front door of our home after a long day. In that pause, we can choose the gink of compassion. We can decide that the next few strokes of our day will be ones of gentleness and understanding. There was a humble village doctor who was known for his remarkable ability to heal people who had lost hope. When a young student asked him for the secret formula of his medicines, the doctor laughed and led the student to his garden. He showed the student that he grew the same herbs as every other doctor, but he treated each plant with a level of devotion that was extraordinary. He would sing to the sprouts, carefully remove every weed by hand, and thank the rain for its nourishment. He said that the herbs were merely the vessel. The true healing power came from the love and intention he poured into them while they were growing. He believed that a medicine given with a cold heart was only half as effective as one given with a warm one. This perspective invites us to look at our own medicines, the way we help others, the way we do our jobs, the way we prepare food. When we add the ingredient of kindness, everything we do becomes more potent. It reaches deeper into the soul of the receiver and provides a level of comfort that goes beyond the physical. The ripples of kindness also extend into our relationship with time. In a culture that is constantly pushing us to go faster and do more, being patient with ourselves and others is a radical act of love. Patience is the willingness to let things unfold in their own time. It is the understanding that a flower cannot be forced to bloom, and a heart cannot be forced to heal. When we are patient, we are creating a space of non-judgment. We are saying that it is okay to be where you are right now. This acceptance is one of the most healing gifts we can offer. It lowers the pressure and allows the natural process of growth to take place. Think of the way the earth waits for the spring. It doesn't fret or worry during the long winter months, it simply holds the seeds in a warm embrace until the timing is right. We can be that warm embrace for ourselves and for those around us. I remember a story of a young man who was traveling through a foreign land and felt very lonely and out of place. He sat on a bench in a public square, feeling sorry for himself. An old woman walking by noticed his expression and stopped. She didn't speak his language, but she reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, bright orange. She handed it to him with a smile that was so warm and genuine that it felt like a hug. In that moment, the young man's loneliness vanished. He felt a connection to the entire human family. That one small piece of fruit became a symbol of the kindness that exists everywhere, if we are only open to receiving it. Years later, that man made it a point to always carry something small to give away, a flower, a kind note, a piece of candy, hoping to be that same spark of light for someone else. This is how the magic of kindness travels across borders and generations. It is a flame that is passed from hand to hand, never going out. As we walk further into the beauty of our shared experience, let us remember that our flaws and mistakes are not obstacles to kindness, but the very things that allow us to be truly compassionate. Because we know what it's like to fail, we can be gentle with the failures of others. Because we have felt the sting of a harsh word, we can choose to speak with softness. Our wounds are the entry points for the light of empathy. Do not be ashamed of your struggles, they are the soil in which your kindness grows most deeply. A heart that has been broken and mended is often stronger and more beautiful than one that has never known pain. It has a depth of understanding and a capacity for love that is truly immeasurable. In the quiet moments of the evening, when the stars begin to appear, we can feel a sense of vastness that reminds us of our own potential. We are not just small, separate beings. We are part of the infinite expanse of the universe. Our capacity for kindness is just as vast. We can send out thoughts of goodwill to people we have never met, in lands we will never visit. We can hold a vision of peace for the entire planet. This mental practice of kindness, often called loving-kindness meditation, is a way of training the heart to stay open even when we are alone. It creates an internal atmosphere of warmth that we carry with us wherever we go. It becomes the background music of our lives, influencing every thought and action. There was a story about a great artist who was asked to paint a portrait of the most compassionate person in the world. He searched for years, looking at famous leaders and saints. But he eventually found his subject in a busy city train station. It was a man who spent his lunch break every day just sitting and talking with the people who were waiting for their trains. He would help them with their bags, share his bread, and listen to their stories with an intensity that made them feel seen and valued. The artist realized that compassion is not a grand title or a public persona. It is the simple, consistent act of showing up for others with a heart that is free from judgment. He painted the man's hands, worn and gentle, holding the hand of a crying child. That painting became a masterpiece because it captured the essence of what it means to be truly human. When we practice kindness, we are also practicing a form of deep listening to the needs of the moment. We become more attuned to the subtle changes in the energy around us. We might notice that a friend is unusually quiet, or that a neighbor's garden looks neglected. These are not just observations, they are invitations to act. By responding to these small cues, we are weaving ourselves more tightly into the fabric of our community. We are showing that we are paying attention and that we care. This attentiveness is a powerful form of love. It tells people that they are not invisible and that their well-being matters to us. Consider the way a small stream of water can eventually carve a path through solid rock. It doesn't do it by force, but by persistence. Kindness is like that water. It might seem insignificant in the face of the world's monumental problems, but over time, it can change the very landscape of our society. Every time you choose to be kind, you are wearing away a little bit of the hardness of the world. You are creating a path for others to follow. You are showing that a different way of living is possible, one that is based on cooperation and care rather than competition and greed. This is the quiet work of the Spirit, and it is the most important work we can do. In our daily lives, we can look for micro-moments of kindness. These are the split-second decisions we make hundreds of times a day. Do we hold the elevator? Do we offer a genuine thank you to the person who cleans our office? Do we let someone merge in front of us in traffic? Individually, these acts seem tiny. But collectively, they create the weather of our lives. If we all choose kindness in these micro-moments, we create a climate of warmth and ease. We make the world a much more pleasant place for everyone to inhabit. It is like planting thousands of tiny seeds that eventually grow into a lush and beautiful forest. There is a story of a traveler who arrived at a crossroad and didn't know which way to go. He saw an old woman sitting by the side of the road and asked her for directions. She told him that there were two paths. One was paved with gold and led to a grand palace, and the other was a simple dirt path that led through the forest. She said that the path of gold was easy to follow but often left people feeling empty, while the dirt path was more difficult but led to a place of true peace. The traveler asked her how he would know if he was on the right path. She said that on the path of peace, he would find many opportunities to be kind, and that every time he was kind, the path would become a little clearer. The traveler chose the dirt path and found that her words were true. Each act of goodness he performed gave him a sense of direction and purpose that he had never known before. This story reminds us that kindness is not just a destination, but a compass. It helps us navigate the complexities of life and ensures that we stay true to our highest values. When we are lost or confused, we can always find our way back by asking ourselves how we can be kind in this moment. This simple question acts as a North Star, guiding us through the darkness and helping us make choices that lead to peace and fulfillment. It simplifies our lives and removes much of the stress and anxiety that comes from overthinking. As we move toward the final part of our journey together, let us take a moment to appreciate the progress we have made. We have explored the many facets of kindness and have seen how it can transform our lives and the world around us. We have listened to stories of ancient wisdom and modern grace. We have felt the warmth of our own hearts and the connection we share with all beings. This is a beautiful foundation upon which to build the rest of our lives. Let us continue to move forward with a sense of wonder and a deep commitment to the path of the heart. Imagine the world as a giant mosaic, and each one of us is a small, unique tile. Our individual acts of kindness are the colors that make the mosaic beautiful. If we are dull and gray, the whole picture suffers. But if we shine with the light of compassion, we contribute to a masterpiece that is breathtaking to behold. Your tile is important. Your color matters. Don't worry about the tiles you cannot see. Just focus on making your own piece as bright and beautiful as possible. By doing so, you are fulfilling your part in the grand design of the universe. In the silence of this moment, feel the potential that resides within you. You have the power to be a healer, a teacher, and a source of peace. You have the power to change someone's day, and perhaps even their life, with a single act of kindness. This is a magnificent gift, and it is one that you can give every single day. Trust in your own capacity for love. Trust in the magic of kindness to heal and transform. As you move forward, carry this sense of empowerment with you. Know that you are making a difference, even when you cannot see the results. The journey of kindness is a journey of 1,000 steps, and each step is a victory of the heart. Let us take the next step together, with a gentle spirit and a heart full of hope. Let us be the ones who bring the light, who offer the warmth, and who show the world the true meaning of compassion. There is so much beauty yet to be discovered, so much love yet to be shared. Let us proceed with a quiet and steady joy, knowing that we are walking the path of the enlightened ones, one kind act at a time. As the shadows of the trees stretch longer and the world prepares for its nightly rest, there is a soft resonance in the air that tells us our journey of the heart is reaching a beautiful point of integration. This quiet time of the day is like the settling of a deep lake after a long afternoon of activity. The silt drops to the bottom, and the water becomes so clear that it reflects the entire sky. This is the state of mind we cultivate through a life of gentle intentions. When we are kind, we are not just doing something for someone else, we are clearing our own waters. We are allowing the truth of our interconnectedness to become visible. There is a deep, wordless joy in knowing that you have been a source of comfort to another living soul. It is a feeling that does not need an audience or a round of applause. It is a secret treasure that you carry within you, providing a warmth that lasts long after the specific act has been completed. This is the true legacy of a human life. It is not the structures we build or the wealth we accumulate, but the way we have made others feel. In the final chapters of a long-lost chronicle from the time of the ancient sages, there is a story of a weary traveler who had spent decades searching for the essence of the Dharma. He had visited every temple and listened to every famous orator, yet he still felt a lingering thirst in his spirit. One evening, he stopped at a small, nameless hut on the outskirts of a bustling city. An old man lived there, and his only occupation seemed to be tending to a small patch of wildflowers and feeding the birds. The traveler asked the old man how he could be so peaceful while the world was so full of noise and sorrow. The old man didn't answer with words. Instead, he took a small, cracked bowl, filled it with fresh water, and placed it on the ground for a thirsty dog that had wandered by. Then, he offered the traveler a simple piece of fruit with a look of such profound tenderness that the traveler suddenly understood everything. The secret was not in the scrolls or the speeches. The secret was in the bowl of water and the piece of fruit. It was in the ability to respond to the immediate need of the moment with a heart that is completely open and free of self-interest. This simplicity is the ultimate sophistication of the spiritual path. We often make things so complicated because we think that profound truths must be difficult to grasp. But the truth of kindness is as simple as a breath. It is as accessible as the person standing right in front of you. When you look at someone, can you see the divinity within them? Can you see the child who was once full of wonder and the elder who will one day be full of stories? When we look with these eyes, kindness becomes our natural response. It is no longer an effort or a duty. It is an overflow of our own well-being. This is the magic that heals the world. It doesn't require us to be perfect. It only requires us to be present. It asks us to bring our whole selves to each encounter, with all our flaws and our beauty, and to offer whatever we have to give. Think of the way a great river finally reaches the ocean. It has traveled thousands of miles, through canyons and over plains. It has been stagnant in some places and turbulent in others. But eventually, it loses its individual identity and merges with the vast, salty deep. Our practice of kindness is leading us toward that same kind of merging. We are moving beyond the small, limited self and into the vast ocean of universal compassion. In that ocean, there is no more me and you. There is only the continuous flow of love and awareness. This is the ultimate healing, to realize that we are the ocean. Every act of kindness is a way of reminding ourselves of this truth. It is a way of returning to our true home. As you move through the rest of your life, let this awareness be your constant companion. Let it soften your edges and brighten your eyes. There is a story of a young woman who was known for her beautiful garden, but what people didn't know was that she planted a seed for every person she had ever forgiven. Over the years, her backyard became a lush paradise of colors and scents. When someone asked her why her flowers were so much more vibrant than anyone else's, she said that flowers grown from forgiveness have a special kind of strength. They know how to turn the darkness of the earth into the brightness of the sun. We can all be gardeners of this kind. We can turn our grievances into growth and our pains into petals. This is how we transform our personal history into a gift for the world. We don't have to carry the heavy stones of the past. We can leave them behind and instead carry the seeds of a more compassionate future. Every morning when we wake up, we are given a fresh canvas. We are given the opportunity to start again, to be a little more patient, a little more generous, and a little more kind than we were the day before. This is the most exciting adventure we can ever be on. It is a journey of constant discovery and endless possibilities. There is no limit to how much we can love or how much we can heal. The heart is an infinite resource, and the more we tap into it, the more it expands. So, let us walk forward with a sense of wonder and a deep commitment to the path of the heart. Let us be the ones who bring the light, who offer the warmth, and who show the world the true meaning of compassion. As the stars begin to fill the sky, providing a canopy of light over our shared home, feel the connection that binds us all together. We are travelers on the same small planet, spinning through the vastness of space. We are all made of the same stardust, and we are all breathing the same air. In this realization, there is a profound sense of peace. We are never truly alone. We are part of a magnificent and mysterious process of awakening. Our individual lives are like single notes in a cosmic song, but when we play our notes with kindness and love, the harmony is exquisite. Let us keep playing our song. Let us keep being the source of healing for ourselves and for each other. In the quiet of this moment, I wish for you a heart that is as vast as the sky and as steady as the earth. I wish for you a spirit that is light and free, and a mind that is clear and bright. May you always find the strength to be kind, especially when it is difficult. May you always have the wisdom to see the beauty in everyone you meet. And may you always know that you are loved, just as you are. The journey of kindness never truly ends, it just becomes a more and more natural part of who we are. It is the thread that weaves through all our experiences, turning them into a beautiful and meaningful tapestry. As we drift into the stillness of the night, let the lessons of the heart settle deeply into your soul. Let the stories of the Buddha and the sages inspire you to live with more grace and intention. Trust in the power of a single kind word to change a life. Trust in the magic of a gentle gesture to heal a wound. And most of all, trust in yourself. You have everything you need to be a source of profound goodness in this world. You are a miracle in motion, a living expression of the universe's infinite compassion. Sleep now with a peaceful heart, knowing that you have done your part to make the world a little brighter today. And when you wake up, the adventure begins again, a new day, a new breath, and 1,000 new opportunities to be kind. The air is cool now, and the world is quiet. This is the space where the soul can truly rest. There is nothing more you need to do, nowhere else you need to go. You are exactly where you belong. In this sanctuary of peace, let your heart be full of gratitude for the gift of life and the chance to share it with others. Every person you have encountered, every challenge you have faced, and every act of kindness you have performed has brought you to this moment. It is a moment of pure, unadulterated grace. Hold it gently, like a fragile bird, and let it fill you with its quiet song. This is the healing magic of kindness, the small power that can soothe the greatest pains. It is yours to keep and yours to give away, forever and always.